another strength was our actors. They worked well together. There were like points during the film which like we needed shots of them like
Talking
laughing and talking.
and just being a
So
couple.
yeah, so what we did was I was like
We
when
would,
they were we had them sit at the tree and they were just talking.
and we just recorded them.
Yeah, and like we used that in the film because it was more natural than
Yeah,
just can you act like
because
this?
like when we did tell them we were filming for that scene, it just didn't work. Like you could tell they were just
Yeah,
pretending. So we went with the one we had secretly recorded because it just looked
yeah,
real. Because it's real.
yeah. And we of course had told them after we
Yeah,
did it,
and they
and
were happy with us to
yeah,
use it because we were like, we weren't going to use it if they weren't
mm,
happy. We did that quite a lot. We would just be like, okay, we would set up a camera, have a place, and be like, you're going to be here, and then start recording them to see what they did.
yeah,
And it worked a lot of the time.
yeah. Because it's because if you're forcing someone to do it, it might not as work as well when you can get the result naturally.
Especially saying this was the first time they had ever met,
Yeah,
and we were asking them to be like a couple, and for Casey, our main actor, she is, I don't want to say reserved, but definitely isn't very comfortable with a lot of like physical contact and just especially physical contact with like new people. So I wanted to make sure she was very comfortable. Making just filming them naturally just worked better because they were just acting normal and Casey wasn't feeling as uncomfortable. And I just didn't want to make her uncomfortable at the
no,
end of the day.
no,
I didn't want to make either of them uncomfortable. That's why they don't kiss in it or anything, because
yeah.
neither of them wanted to do that, and I wasn't going to be like, no, do it. Kiss! Kiss, goddammit!
So yeah, and now moving on to weaknesses. What would you say your weakness was?
Um, our biggest, like, the biggest weakness for the whole project in general is just audio, and that's mostly my fault. Because I kind of left audio a lot of the time as an afterthought. Like, we have a voiceover, and originally the voiceover was going to be Casey, because it makes sense for the character to talk about the relationship before and after, and just explaining how she felt. But we couldn't get her to come back because she was very busy with exams, and I had tried to film on other days, like record the audio on other days, but we would run out of time, and we really needed to focus on getting all the shots. So we had to substitute Casey with Michael, and that didn't work as well as I wanted to. It worked okay, but it would have made a lot more sense to have Casey do it, but we just couldn't get her to come back. And then just for the fight scene, I really didn't know how to record it, and it's very obvious because if you go through all the files we have of just like the audio for the fight scene, they range from absolutely illegible, like you can't understand a single thing they're saying because there's so much wind, or like a dog. There was just a random dog that kept coming in and
Oh
out.
yeah.
It's just like dog, and or they would just, or I wasn't telling them to be loud enough, or the mic wasn't close enough, so you couldn't hear them, or the audio was just mediocre, and like it wasn't good. It was just, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it was just
And that's kind of my fault because I just really didn't
nah,
know what I
it's
was
both
doing.
our faults because it's like we didn't think like
Yeah, we didn't realize how important the audio would be.
Yeah.
So when it came to editing, we were like, we can't use half of this.
Yeah.
So we had to replace it out with music instead of the dialogue, which is okay. It worked, but wasn't the original plan.
What were other weaknesses you think? One was like the time because there were like one day where it's like we
we kept on overbooking the schedule a lot. So we kept overrunning a lot. We would have the filming itself would go pretty smooth.
Yeah.
It would just take longer than we thought, so we ended up staying back maybe an hour or two than we were meant to, or sometimes actors would struggle getting to set.
Yeah.
So we would have to start an hour later than we wanted. But the biggest problem we had was when we were actually filming the original fight scene, because we had to film it kind of twice on different days. That's why some shots don't match, because it's different days. Which I didn't want to do, but whoops. And basically, what happened there was I had accidentally overbooked the schedule completely. I was going to be like, we're going to film everything that's yellow today. So all the couple scenes, the fight scene, anything that has yellow in it, I was planning to film in one day. After, we got 2 shots from that day, 2 workable shots. And we had spent, about an hour on 2 of, the more coupley scenes. And then we spent about another hour setting up for the fight scene. And then 2 hours trying to figure out how to do it. And we overran a lot on that. And it just didn't work as well as we thought. But luckily our actors were very flexible with their dates, so we were able to pull it back and get everyone back to set and film it again. But I was unhappy that we had to do that.
So any more weaknesses before we move on?
Some of our editing choices.
Yeah, some of them were not.
We're not great editors. I don't think neither of us would say we're editors or want to be. So just doing the editing was difficult, and because it was so difficult, we were getting in a lot of fights for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that helped. So yeah, it didn't go as well as we wanted. The final project didn't come out exactly like we wanted, but at least we still have the main points, and the shots were good, and the colours were very prominent, and that's what I wanted. So I'm still very happy with it.
Yeah. So next question. What were the overall strengths and weaknesses of the project? Overall strengths, actors, camera shots,
script, colours, just the colour theory.
Yeah.
I love the colour theory.
The credit?
No, because I forgot to put Michael Yems.
Yeah.
I forgot to credit one of our actors by accident. Yeah, I forgot to credit one of our actors by accident, but it's okay. Overall weaknesses was just trying to edit the whole thing together, and sound. Sound was such a big problem for us.
Oh yeah, sound was a problem, as well as editing, scheduling.
Sorry again.
Yeah, we just had to. So yeah, editing was a problem, as well as the other things we mentioned. Discuss how your final piece would appeal to your audience.
We have representation, so it appeals to the LGBTQ target audience we were heading for.
People who've gone through grief.
Yeah.
People who also haven't, but it's not the best.
It's not the best, but it still works. It gets the point of view across. It just takes people a while to figure it out. A lot of people, after watching it for the first time, were like, what just happened? And it didn't help that when it was first shown to everyone, for some reason, all the dialogue was... You couldn't hear any of the dialogue. You could hear the music perfectly fine, but no dialogue for some reason. So when people were watching it and it came to the fight scene where it's only dialogue, people got very confused, because the key point of that scene is the dialogue and the fight itself, and without it doesn't make sense. You just have 2 people standing and yelling and hand gesturing at each other.
Yeah. And last question. Discuss the changes you made to the product, the final outcome, and feedback from peers, and what you would do differently next time.
We had to change it a lot. Originally it was a gay couple. We changed it to a lesbian couple. And another round of changes was just the ending in total. Originally we were going to have this massive flashback to everything that had already happened, but we changed that. Okay.
So yeah.
We didn't have too many changes, because the original idea wasn't very solid in the first place. So it just kept developing.
Yeah.
More than changing.
Yeah, and we mentioned how we changed the characters, the final outcome, changes we will make.
changes if we would make.
Well, the sound, audio, maybe some of the shots, but that's around it.
I would change like the wide shot for the
Yeah.
fight scene because it just doesn't match the Dutch angle because I believe they were both filmed on different days, or at least at different times.
Yeah, some of them were.
Yeah, or at least different times, which didn't help.
Yeah. What else would we change? Maybe some indoor shots, but that would only happen if
Corona went away.
Because shooting outside was the best option.
Like, there was no way I would... Because of just my general health, there was no way we could film inside unless it was at college.
And I wouldn't want to be like, hey Rachel, put aside all your problems and worries and shoot inside. Because why, I don't want to be like the cause of like you going into hospital with your family. So, yeah.
My health is terrible. But... yeah, I definitely think indoor shots would work a lot more because, especially for the fight scene and just them being coupley, having them outdoors is great, but having them indoors would have been 10 times better. I also, if we could change it, I would also, like you said, change the audio, but also just have more confined sets and stuff.
Yeah.
Have it more planned instead of being like, we need to shoot somewhere. Where are we going to shoot? Yeah, it looks fine. Let's do that.
Yeah. And again, just always keep the final scene.
Also, keep the death scene in, or film it better.
Oh yeah, that wasn't well shot. We put in the trailer, but we never put in the final film.
Yeah, because originally we wanted to have a day to night shot, but because of how we filmed it, we couldn't do that.
Yeah, because it would show the sky, and that would just
Yeah, because where we filmed it, there was no way to get a shot without having the sky in it. So there was no way we could convert it from day to night. So if we did it again, I would definitely do a day to night and remember to put in the car noise.
Yeah.
Because the editing was such a rush, we accidentally forgot to credit Michael and put a car noise in for the car accident.
Right, so I think that's it.
Yeah.
That was our evaluation. Thank you. Bye.